next question I have, which is very important, and a lot of people struggle with that, is about feedback
Yeah.
and how to give an effective feedback, and specifically if it is a very negative feedback.
Sure.
So,
So that's a good question. Basically, feedback is high anxiety, which is why people don't really like to give it, especially negative feedback. Right? Most people won't give you negative feedback, but that's a terrible thing for both parties, the manager and the
right.
employee, for a couple of reasons. I mean, number one, the employee doesn't get to hear the feedback, doesn't have a chance to improve. It's going to be devastating later when you have to like accumulate a whole bunch of things that they've done wrong and kind of not give them a good bonus and punish them and maybe put them on a pip. Whatever it is going to be devastating, and you failed as a leader because you didn't provide that feedback. And why didn't you provide it? Because you sort of had this anxiety. And I saw this all the time. A lot of people, it's like they don't want to give bad news and they don't want to give, harsh criticism, and they get trapped into this. And so for me, one thing that, just going back to my previous role at Walmart, one thing Walmart did super well is like they train people. They train people quite well in these kinds of situations because they have a lot of they have a massive workforce, and so one thing they do well is managing people. They're probably bigger than the U.S. Army in terms of employees, and so
Right.
or as big. And so anyway, so they trained us, and they trained us in this technique called SBI, situation, behavior, impact. And it might sound like a silly thing, but it's like a really useful framework for people that have this anxiety about telling somebody that they're doing something bad, and or they're not doing something right, what that is basically, Rafat, is the idea that I'm going to keep it focused on what happened. I'm going to keep it focused on the situation. I'm not going to make it about you personally. not going to attack you personally. We're going to say, as an example, in the meeting, in the design review meeting yesterday, that's the situation. You interrupted the presenter multiple times, and you chimed in with your ideas, and at the end of the meeting, the presenter came to me and said they were frustrated because they didn't even, and that's the impact that it had. Your behavior had that impact. They were frustrated that they didn't even get to finish their thing. And so now you delivered that. You didn't tell the person like, you're rude. You're terrible. You're a terrible. What's wrong with you? You kept it focused on the stuff that went wrong, and you do this frequently. You don't just do this. So many managers wait till like a mid-year. Like I used to do this on all the one-on-ones. I would just collect little things and then tell the person like, hey, these are before they get big, before they snowball into an avalanche, and now you can't come back from that. So I'd say, the anxiety stuff prevents people from doing it. There are techniques and tools that you could build up to do that a little bit better. And then subsequently, I'd say do it frequently. Don't wait. Don't let it build up. And that's the way to both keep, make sure that you don't get into this like situation where it's sort of devastating for the person because you didn't give them any of the feedback that they need to improve, and they didn't know the whole time, and it just
Right.
now you got to tell them like you did a terrible job all year.
Right. Right.
That's a bad spot.
Yeah, that's I think very unfair
Exactly.
when people come to know in the end of the year that okay, you're not getting bonus because of this. So that's very unfair. So true.